I'm Brady Ellison, and I'm going to talk to you now about basic 30 meter tuning. When we're tuning at 30 meters, I like to shoot 4 fletch and 4 bear shafts. The reason for this is that you can get a nice group with your fletch shafts, and then you have a variety of bear shafts in there in case one isn't shooting the way the others are. Now, on my bear shafts, I don't have any of the fletchings or anything taped down. It's just a straight bear shaft. I don't have any weight. I shoot spin wings, and they're so light that I don't really feel that it's necessary for me to tape them down or to keep the weight on the back of the arrow when I'm tuning. When you're shooting your arrows at 30 meters, you want to shoot fletched, bear, and so on until you run out of arrows. And the reason for this is if you get up there and make 4 good shots with your fletch shafts, you might be thinking, oh, now I'm shooting bear shafts. It's easier if you just alternate them so you can just get in a rhythm and you're actually shooting good shots with each arrow. One of the first things you're going to look at is when you get down to the target is if your fletched and bear shafts are in the same line. What I mean by this is when they're sticking out of the target, imagine that they're sticking out of the target like this. If you have your group of your fletch shafts sitting here, you want your bear shafts in the same line. You don't want your bear shaft kicked to the side this way or this way. You're going to want them lined up in the target at the same angle. If your bear shafts aren't hitting at the same angle, so say you go down to the target and one's kicked over to the right, it's a simple center shot adjustment. So if you get down to the target and you have this situation here where your knock is kicked to the right, it's because your arrow is kind of flying down at the same way. So all you're going to need to do, take your plunger button, unscrew it a little bit. If you take that plunger button out and you move it this way, that point of the arrow is going to follow it and straighten up. So hopefully next end when you go down and shoot, your arrows are going to be lined up. Now, when you walk down to the target and you have this situation, it's just the opposite. Your point's too far in, so you're going to want to take your plunger button and screw it into the bow so it's going to put that point of your arrow out, and hopefully when you go down to the target, you're going to see that. Now that we have our bear shafts hitting at the same angle in the target, we're going to now look at where the fletch shafts and where the bear shafts are impacting, and by changing the poundage, we're going to get those arrows hitting in the same group. Now, when I get to talking about changing where the bear shaft is going to hit, we're just going to assume that our fletch shafts are hitting in the middle of the target. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to try to get our bear shafts to do is hit in the same left and right line as our fletch shafts. To do this, I'm going to refer to 2 words, our arrows being weak and our arrows being stiff. For a right-handed shooter, your arrow being weak means that your bear shaft is to the right of your fletch shafts. Being stiff is that your bear shafts are to the left of your fletch shafts. For a left-handed shooter, it's opposite, meaning that when your arrows are on the left, they're going to be weak, and when your arrows are on the right, they're going to be stiff. So we're going to start off with getting a weak arrow back into the group. I always like to start with poundage. When you have a weak arrow, what's happening is you have too much poundage on your bow, and that's causing that arrow to flex more, and that's why it's weak. So what we're going to do is just take some poundage off the bow, and eventually that bear shaft is going to start coming in and it's going to meet with your fletch shafts. Now, if you're already really close or you don't want to take any more poundage off, you could adjust your plunger tension and stiffen it up a little bit, and that's also going to bring it in there, but that's a real small adjustment. If you need to move a long ways, we're talking 4 or 5 inches or more, poundage is going to be about the only way you can do it and the easiest way to do it. So when you have a stiff arrow, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to increase weight to your bow, because a stiff arrow isn't getting enough energy into the arrow to make it flex to hit with them fletch shafts. So just a simple increase in weight is going to bring that stiff arrow back in. If you don't want to increase your weight, then you could decrease the plunger tension, and that should bring it in too, but remember, that's going to be a real small adjustment, and your big adjustment is going to be with your poundage.